This is Sexy Funny Raw, where we chat all about the world of sex, from dating and relationships all the way to the adult industry itself. I'm Silvia Saige, and this is my Pornspective, answering all the questions you weren't even brave enough to ask Google. Get ready, because Sexy Funny Raw starts now.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Sexy Funny Raw. I am your host, Silvia Saige, and joined with me, of course, in studio is my co-host, Dr. Eddie, giving us his public health perspective. Thank you, Dr. Eddie. And you guys, it is my pleasure, my delight, and my all-around thrill. This is making my month, is one of my very good friends, Performer of the Year, Cherie DeVille. Thank you so much. She hates it. But I love it so much for you. You were MILF Performer of the Year last year, which, of course, this episode, you guys, we are talking MILFs. Nothing but MILFs. But I find it very interesting because this year you were not MILF Performer of the Year. You were actually upstaged yourself by becoming Performer of the Year, all around Performer of the Year, which has never happened, at least in the knowledge that I have of being in the porn industry, has never happened before.
Never even been nominated for that. Never mind, never won it. I don't know
any MILFs who have been in that category.
Ever.
Because it's normally the younger talent, the teens, the 20s, I don't know what category to put like the Angela Whites in, because she never wants to be called a MILF. So
that's her choice.
Right.
She chooses. She's offered a lot of MILF roles.
I bet.
But she chooses to step back from that category, which in the past I would say really made sense because we're a fetish category. Well, until recently, we're just a fetish category. You know what I mean? So
she didn't want to be fetishized.
Right. If you're put just all the way over the side in the corner, you can't really do what everyone else does.
Yeah.
So I understand wanting to opt out if you can.
I get it as well. I think I was slightly offended when I got into the industry. And day one, I had no inclining. They didn't say, like, you're going to be the mom until I got to set.
Oh.
And then it was almost like the director, like, sized me and the other girl up who was my friend, and he was like, okay, you'll be the mom. And I remember like the biggest heartbreak in the whole world for me because I was hurt. I truly was.
Especially if you're friends with the other person.
And granted, she's 8 years younger than me, like in real life. So I was 30, she was 22. So it did make sense that I would be categorized as the mom, but I was still like wildly hurt.
I can't believe that wasn't told to you ahead of time.
No, I was also brand new. My agent was Derek. So
that says everything.
Right, yeah. So moving on, that explains everything.
Let's define some terms first. If that's okay.
Yes, we definitely need to define some terms. Okay, well, so let's talk about it because it is an increasingly popular fetish. We don't want to call it a fetish, but I mean, it technically is like a fetish size. So stepmoms and MILFs, right? And that's what we are. And it is defined as a mom I'd like to fuck, right?
Yep.
Or in this case, a mature I'd like to fuck?
Yeah, to change it up.
Okay, so does that mean that we can technically put DILFs in that category?
I mean, you probably could, but they're their own show.
But they don't even have a category. You really can't search a DILF.
I think you can now.
You certainly can in gay and bi porn.
Definitely becoming a thing.
Maybe I should be searching.
And Zaddies is now
Zaddies is such a thing.
Grandpa type level.
Oh, it is?
Is also
so like gray hair.
Definitely.
That's what I'm into.
Like Silver Fox.
I'm not into my own gray hair, but I am into the gray hair of others. I was actually noticing a few on the drive-in this morning, thinking, can't wait to take care of those.
Gray.
No, there's not. No.
Lots of people are paying for gray now, actually.
Yeah.
It looks awesome, too.
Well, MILF, #1 search category. So, I mean, people are looking for that older, sexy lady.
Ladies. Yeah, thank God.
Okay.
I don't think anybody would confuse you for older, sexy ladies, even if you had gray hair.
Well, you know what I will say? Not that I want to jump straight to this, but like we're going to briefly touch on it. That MILF manner that we were discussing.
Right.
It made me feel so young. I was like, wow, if these like 20-year-old men are going for these 60-year-old ladies, like I must be killing it. Like
Well, some of my favorite performers are in their 50s and 60s.
Well, agreed.
So absolutely.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, I personally have dated much older men. So yeah, I get it. But do you ever feel, how do you feel about the title of MILF? Do you ever feel weird about it, or do you just love it and embrace every second?
It never
of it?
bothered me.
Never.
I was 32 when I started this, so I knew, I was well aware, you know, having seen porn, I was not going to be the new ingenue the moment I stepped onto set. So I was just glad to get work. You know what I mean? I was happy to get work. I was happy to be, you know, placed in the films, and it might just be me, but I'm more comfortable, at least on film, with the sense of power that being the person in control of the scene gives me.
That makes sense.
You know, it just felt really, really comfortable, especially in the beginning, that, you know, even in the theme of the scene, I was calling the shots, I was choosing the positions, I was able to say whatever I wanted. So that power dynamic on camera was really comfortable for me.
Yeah, I get that. I do, because I think a lot of times, especially in the beginning years of porn, I didn't feel I had that kind of power. So it's lovely that you felt that immediately right out of the gate. And the MILF does kind of give you that, like,
yeah, and I think just being
say.
older on set, people aren't going to, even if you're day one, you're in your 30s or 40s, so no one assumes that.
Yeah.
So they just treat you with a different level of respect, as if you're, you know, an OG, even though you're like, this is my first day.
Yeah.
Like, you're older. You just don't seem, you know, brand new, which is nice.
I think that's super interesting because it touches exactly on maybe some of the reasons that guys are interested in older women.
Because they seem more in charge.
Because they seem more in charge, right? It's like a sense of comfort that comes from it. And you can kind of relinquish some of that societal requirement of having to make a lot of those decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always say that MILF porn is femdom light. You know what I mean? Like, you're not full leather-clad dominatrix all the time, but you are definitively in control.
Yeah.
And I feel like that appeals to all kinds of men, especially since our culture is slowly changing, but we still live in a heavily misogynistic, patriarchal society where that doesn't just mess up women, that has equal repercussions for men. You know, as a woman, I always think about that in terms of how it applies to me, but those same messages are being given to young men. And I think the message of, you have to be in control, you're the one who asks the girl out, you're the one who makes the first move on a date, that is an insane amount of pressure. So to have an older woman come along and just be like, I want you barely even have a choice, so there's not even going to be shame involved, because, like, this is happening, right? And then you're doing all of those stressful things for them, even in this fantasy realm. Like, that is beautifully relaxing.
Yeah.
I think.
And you probably make money. You know, you might make them a sandwich after, you know, send them
I
out
have
with a
fruit snacks
raincoat.
in my purse. So.
Right. I mean, I always have snacks in my purse as well. I mean, we've traveled together. I think we know this very much about ourselves.
You have low sugar.
Yeah. We are there. We have all of the mothering items you may need. I think I got some Band-Aids if you fall and scrape your knee.
Oh, I'm floss. Like, seriously. Like,
we're gonna mom you up after we fuck you up. It's so messed up. Oh my god, I just can't. Like, with it. Okay, but what I found interesting, Dr. Eddie, is you found a new term.
I did.
For MILF.
And so some of the social science literature, like feminist literature, more recent, has actually been pushing WIP, which is women who are hot, intelligent, and in their prime. But I think we can certainly have a discussion of what in their prime means and the challenges of what that even means. But WIP in general has like a less backhanded compliment kind of approach, because they're hot, intelligent, and all of those things, which are often reality and often what's being portrayed in a lot of the MILF porn as well.
So it's funny that you say that, because you think MILF has a negative connotation. So we just made it into a positive connotation of where we're like, yeah, we're the MILFs, we're the power team, we're the ones in charge of the situation. But you see it as a derogatory?
Maybe not exclusively as a derogatory, but maybe its origins were slightly like a backhanded comment, where you're saying, wow, this woman managed to like keep it tight, which is unusual somehow. And that's, you know, I was raised all by women and they all kept it pretty tight. So that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Right. But then you have to also consider how these things have changed, right? Because they've become part of like major culture, and you have like Stifler's mom, which was like instrumental in that whole
the
shift.
MILF era.
And
I think she made MILF. Did she not? Did she not make that?
Did that movie coin the term
I'm not
MILF?
sure.
I'm not sure either, but it might have. It definitely popularized it, if anything.
Oh, well,
you know?
she's made quite the
culture,
comeback for Coolidge recently, right?
Yeah.
She's everywhere now.
Yeah.
So good for her.
Yeah.
But that's certainly how it started. And it wasn't always a compliment.
Maybe because it was the fuck part. Maybe like the mom I'd like to fuck, and you're like, oh, that sounds like you just like to fuck her and move on because she's hot. Maybe that.
Well, I think part of it might be like we were talking about DILF. DILF is new, but MILF isn't. So I think that there's a clear implication there. As if men have no age limit, so we don't even need to categorize them as old or young. They're just purely valuable. Yeah. But there's a separate category that very few fall into.
The valuable is a key point because women do lose our value as we age.
Right, except for the few that can become MILFs.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that I think that is a little bit separate. And I think DILF is new enough and MILF is 20, 40 years old. So,
But it's also interesting because you don't technically think of your mom or someone else's mom and go, oh, that's a hot figure. That's somebody I'd like to have sex with. But we have turned this mom I'd like to fuck into this sexy category. But I don't know that we necessarily make moms sexy. We're making like this mythical mom.
Well, we
sexy,
don't even like to,
right?
Certainly culturally, we don't even like to think about those things, right? Because we like to sexualize women and their bodies, and then it becomes something different if they're mothers or if they're, in any kind of rate that way. Even though in the U.S. we have like 12% are stepmoms, like 12% of parents are just right? And so out of
the divorce rate is so high. You guys. I mean,
well, there's 333 million people in the U.S. 12%, that's roughly 39 million are stepmoms. And so we're fetishizing that. And so that has to say something.
But are men really fetishizing their own stepmoms and like in a real life scenario?
I don't know. I mean,
I can't answer that, but what I can answer
because you're not a young boy with a stepmother. Okay,
I know.
I get it.
But like,
any other young boys with stepmothers in the room? No,
I was once a young boy with many different stepmothers. And no,
you were, but
right.
But like, is the porn that you watch stuff that you would want to happen to you in real life? Because for me, the porn that I watch is absolutely 100%. Not something I would ever want to happen to me in real life. I like a lot of consensual non-consent porn, right?
Consensual non-consent.
Consensual because the performers have clearly consented to making this film, but the theme of the film is non-consent. I have no desire to experience a non-consensual moment in my life.
Yes, got it.
But it is my favorite content to watch. So
Interesting.
watching mom porn certainly does not mean that is within the scope of things that you want to happen in your life. I think those two things can be
totally
very separate.
Yeah. So interesting to me, though. Oh, man. It's funny because I think back of like Jackie St. James telling me that she watches tweaker porn.
That is specific.
Let's define that real quick for everybody.
No, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's people like
high on drugs.
Yes.
So PMP type porn. We've discussed.
I don't know if you call it. I don't know what's
like
PMP?
party and play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
And
I don't know enough terms. I am not a first class porn star. I mean, I'm not educated as a tier top porn star. I'm like, what's that? What does that mean? I learn stuff all the time. The amount of things I learn on this show is embarrassing. Let's be honest. As a 39-year-old woman who's worked in the medical industry for nearly a decade and then porn for nearly a decade, and I still am like, what? So embarrassing. All right, go on, Dr. Eddie.
I lost my place.
PMP.
So right. So PMP is just one of the many variations. We had previously discussed drugs and sex, right?
Yes.
In that interrelationship. And so you can see potentially if you're tweaking out, that gives you a release of perhaps consent, inhibitions for sure. So all of these things can kind of be wrapped up in what we might consider tweaker porn or PMP and all that stuff.
Well, and I
How do you pretend to be a tweaker? Because you can't film porn while under any substances or it's, of course, rape. There's no such thing as consent if you're high. So you have to be good enough to act like you're tweaking.
I mean, I could do it. I used to be I used to be a tweaker, so like I could like, you know, find that memory and like bring it back.
In research, that's actually, it's certainly an area of discussion because if you're, and I've done quite a bit of work with film stars, but also with prostitutes and sex workers. And so if their day-to-day is on drugs, then there's a couple of areas there where potentially you can still interview them and you can still have that type of engagement because that's their day-to-day. But how do you gauge their day-to-day?
Yeah.
And how do you know? So it certainly becomes a very sensitive area as far as conducting research in those areas.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that you could probably make that same argument in film.
I wouldn't take that legal risk.
wouldn't.
I'm saying on my set, I'd be like, look, I know this person is high all the time. Let's do this. Like, that's not what I'm going to tell the judge when I go to court.
To fight for this video, to be online,
Look, they're high
not
all the
worth the risk.
I don't think it's going to fly.
Yeah. No, I just found it interesting because I think what she was saying is she is so used to filming like beautiful porn because that's what her stuff is.
Yes.
Is what she puts out is very female friendly, very beautiful, like aerobatic porn almost, you know, and then to have it so drastically different for her own personal pleasure. So I just always wonder if like the mommy thing is your thing, if the stepmommy thing is your thing. And it's certainly, I've said it a million times, it is a character I play. It's not like my personal fetish, but because I don't have children, and I kind of thank God I don't have kids when I'm playing some of these things. That was another thing when watching that MILF Manor, when I was like, I'm not an actual mom. So I don't feel the head games that I think a real mom might feel.
Well, and then this is not passing judgment on anyone in the industry who has children. I think you can make your own choices. But for me, I don't think the social stigma that we face should exist. Yeah. But it does.
Yes.
And for me, I wouldn't want to. I can take it. I'm an adult who's making adult consenting choices.
Yes.
But if I were to choose to have a child, considering the content that I've filmed, I'm completely aware that that stigma would heavily roll onto that child.
Yeah.
And they are not consenting to this.
Yeah.
And I am not comfortable with that. That's just me, but that's not something that I would be able to do to another human, knowing how fucked up our society is, how much they judge us, and what a hard fucking time that kid would have.
No, I mean, I agree with that. And I feel the same way. I'm not judging anybody who has kids. And I think to each their own. I think kids can grow up with a healthy understanding from a mom who has
It's not our fault. Again,
Yeah.
it's society's fault. I think we can be great parents.
110%.
It's other people that will shit on it.
No, 110%. No, but that is the truth. And we like fetishize this thing and then we are this thing. But if we were to have actual children, people would destroy our children for us being this fantasy that they actually created.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's like the insane part about it.
Porn works on analytics now. So everyone's like, I don't see why everyone's just getting stuck in dryers. I'm like, because you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Like,
clicking on
I
people
don't need
stuck
to
in
keep
dryers.
doing this.
Yeah.
Right? But when I see that everyone is making money every time someone gets stuck in a dryer, I'm going to continue to provide dryer stuck content. And that goes for all types of content. We notice it popping up on the fetish sites and on the tube sites and on the places that aren't, everyone's just trying whatever. And then it flows into mainstream only if it's making a ton of money.
Yeah, totally
So I
true.
just love how we're blamed for even the types of content that exists when it's
the consumers.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, none of us are like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool? Like, you know what I mean?
Also, a lot of people don't realize it's the audience members who are sending in scripts that a lot of these people are buying. A lot of these companies have run out of scene ideas, so they're taking them from the actual public, and then they're like, okay, this
Reddit.
isn't awful,
I take it from Reddit all the time.
Yeah, and just hand us a script that somebody has come up with off the top of their head and thought this would be a great idea. And now
then if it sells well, then every other company will do that too.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's you guys. It's not us. Okay.
It's a team effort.
It is. Well, I mean, we do put on our little hat and we're like, yeah, I will be Dirty Mommy number 7 today. I sure will.
Sure fucking will.
Yeah. Also, but that's just it, is I don't feel like the shame. I feel like a lot of people really want me to be so ashamed of what we do for a living.
Why that, do you think?
Yeah.
Because they're ashamed and they want me to feel ashamed, or?
I think it's honestly, I always come back to this religious point because I think if you weren't in this religious bubble, you probably wouldn't have that mindset, because I also
indoctrinated to think that somehow sex was bad when it's the only way we make more people.
Right. But
like, do we not realize that all of us are here because of sex? Like how?
Yeah, but only sex between a husband and a wife who love each other.
That only do it to have a child.
Right, exactly. Because that is the only thing sex is actually for. So, not for any type of enjoyment or physical or mental well-being, anything like that. So I know it's hard to understand, but sex isn't always about sex. Even harder to explain, but stepmom is not always about stepmom sex, right? So some research does suggest that through sexualizing a female character who is overtly or covertly linked to a feeling of powerless in adolescence, men can gain a sense of mastery of the situation and turn something unpleasant into something pleasant. That's very interesting to me. I love that, Dr. Eddie. No, honestly.
I didn't write it. So.
Well, I mean, you found it.
Right.
Regardless. But I find that very interesting because it is, like you said, relinquishing the power over to somebody so they don't have to do the thinking about. They don't have to think about picking somebody up. They don't have to think about maybe even knowing what to do because we are what? Teaching them, right? We are showing you, we are the older, we are the wiser, we are leading you into this sexual journey and making you a man, right? Or even a woman, you know?
You don't have to worry about figuring out my body. I'm confident. I'm going to tell you what I want. Like, you can just sit back and relax.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you can't just sit back and relax.
She's like, not in my movies.
Yeah, not in my movies. No, actually,
when only so much cowgirl a woman can do.
You know what's funny is you are that, though. You deserve performer. Like, I obviously gave you a standing ovation for that because you're my best friend, but I also give you that standing ovation because you truly deserve it. I have been in a scene with you. We actually did MILF Performers of the Year for 2000 and... We don't know. It was a couple years ago. Whatever year we're in now, subtracted by 2. Right. So, okay, there you go. 2021.
I don't watch any of my friends' content. So.
But what I'm saying is you are that performer, though, because you are a take charge. You do, like, control the whole scene. You control the flow of the scene. There were things happening to me in that scene that I could have never even created in my wildest of fantasies. And I was like, we are here. This is what we are doing now. And it was incredible to watch, though. But you're right. I'm like, I'll do a little bit of the work. I will start it. I will start the sexiness and be like, we're gonna fuck, and then I'm like, and now you're fucking me. So okay. Yeah, I
felt like that was a team effort.
Yeah, it was
I don't know.
Effort.
I felt like that was a team effort.
It was team, but
you were not like a pillow princess in any way.
No, not a pillow princess, but like you are the tug of war queen. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have had 10 people on my side of the rope, and you would have just been like, ah, and we all would have fell down. It's so impressive.
I think part of that is just my like aggressively type A, over organized personality that can't relinquish control to anyone. But cool.
I can see that. Actually, I've seen the calendar that you carry around, so I kind of actually understand that.
You mean I might want my scenes to go exactly the way I fucking want them to go? Really?
Yeah. Weird. Weird that would happen.
And that's why we're friends.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sexy stepmoms are popular not just because of trauma, though. So let's remember that. It is because of the taboo in general, like the desire among porn viewers to see a woman be both powerful and maternal, which is not always bad. Right?
Yeah, I like that you brought up taboo because I think not just in stepmom or whatever porn, I think a lot of people watch a lot of different types of porn because it's taboo.
Yes.
And the next thing that we as a society have decided is taboo is going to become porn because it's taboo.
Yeah.
Having almost nothing to do with anything else. So that in and of itself, I think, is a fetish. It's an ever-changing fetish as our society's ideas of what's cool and not cool change. But that is definitely, like, I think a lot of, especially old school lesbian porn was just for the male gaze and just because it was taboo. You know, I think there's so many different things that have been taboo, like feet.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of these interesting things started because we're like, well, you shouldn't, but.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's so true. And maybe that's exactly what the stepmom
Or
fantasy
nuns,
is.
priests. Oh, there's so much porn that is porn just
Yeah.
because it's taboo.
Yeah, I agree. So maybe that's what the stepmom is. Maybe it is the more of the taboo, you know,
the
than
MILF
anything.
porn, like before this stepmom thing became popular, there was still MILF porn or porn fetishizing older women, but you might be the boss, you might be the secretary, you might be, there was a lot of other older roles before stepmom became like a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I think it hit hard because it's so taboo.
Yeah.
And people just love that.
How interesting is it to you, though, that we are almost always, I'd say 95% of the time, I am always cast with someone drastically younger than me. It's very, very, very rare that even in the MILF category that we get to be put with someone our age,
Yeah,
male
unless
or
I have
female.
a husband in the film.
But how often are you sleeping with your husband in the film?
Yeah, not as much.
Almost
yeah,
never.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they've kind of taken men our own age away from us, or just partners our own age away from us.
I know, and it's kind of sad because I've heard from a lot of, especially the much younger performers,
Yeah.
that they can be a little bit uncomfortable performing, especially in the beginning with men in their 50s. Of
course.
I would love that to have an adult on everyone's an
Yes.
adult, but to have like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
like sincere grown up on set,
Yes.
you know. So I feel like we would like to be with
Yes.
older men and women, and they would very much like to be
Yeah.
with younger men and women. So
You guys hear this? Will you listen and start changing your clicks? If you could just
Please.
start searching different things.
Cherie DeVille with
Yeah.
old man, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
If you could just start
Oh,
searching
but what does old man even mean?
I don't
Right.
care.
In this society, it's like
same
over 26.
age people. Yeah.
Right.
Start
Right.
searching same age people having sex.
Yeah.
Having consensual, fun sex on a soft surface.
Please,
If you
God.
could just, if you could just add
DeVille
in
has
on a
sex with
bed, on a
Peter on
couch.
bed.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an advanced search engine requirement for everybody.
On the floor, as long as there's lots of pillows, you know, just like.
Two 40-year-old women have sex on soft surface.
Those are
Count me
keywords
in.
if I've ever heard them.
Yeah.
Like key terms for searches, for sure.
I'd throw in big titty. Like, I'll throw you a bone,
For
but
sure.
please.
Yeah. We'll get some anal play, some hashtag
Sure.
feet in there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a soft place to land.
You've heard it here first.
Oh, you
folks.
really want? All right, guys. We have talked about it, but let's talk about it because Dr. Eddie, you mentioned MILF Manor in these
some
notes.
reason.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
you
it's
know-
almost impossible not to
It's
really try
culturally
and understand the
significant,
cultural
yeah.
significance of it.
I had
for
to
sure.
buy the series because you can
You
only
bought
get it.
this.
Bought it $16 for the first season.
Almost spit my coffee on you.
I had to buy it. I bought it. That's I felt
took a
like
turn.
This took a
I
turn.
bought it. I own it. You can come over and watch it if you want.
I might.
Yeah, you
That would be hilarious.
You should.
I'm not sure
A review.
Social media.
Oh my God, an online review of MILF Manor. I'm calling Alexis and you guys are coming over. Yeah, okay.
That would be worth watching.
It actually would.
It would be worth
Watching
watching.
us watching.
Uh,
Those reaction videos are quite popular.
me last night was having to pause it because I'm also obviously a comic, so I'm taking notes the whole time. I got 5 minutes in. I was like, pause. I need my notebook. I have so much to say. There's so much going on. Okay, so if you guys don't know what this show is, basically it's moms who are the youngest
Real
mom
moms.
on the real moms. The youngest mom on the show is 47. The oldest mom is 59. The youngest son,
Beautiful
on the
adult
show-
women, though.
Beautiful
adult
women,
women.
beautiful women. The youngest son on the show is 20, and the oldest son on the show is 31.
Okay.
Okay, so it is all of the mothers, and these are their actual sons. So the sons are the dating pool of the mothers. So they are all staying in one house, and these moms are watching their sons go on dates with these older
Do
women,
they all
and
have
vice
their own
versa.
bedrooms? Like all.
So they start with you. You say
I was
Dr.
going to
Eddie,
say,
yeah.
I think they all share rooms, like the
Mom
like
and
the
son,
mom-
actual mom and son
Share rooms.
a room to begin with.
that changes.
Yep.
I didn't get that far.
She's like, I own it.
Yeah, I got the whole series, and actually, I haven't finished it, but I'm real close. And I have to know how it ends.
I thought it was hard to watch.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they also put them through like challenges.
Yeah.
And the challenges get, okay, sure, you haven't seen it, but I'm going to give it away. So
Give it away.
they basically, they blindfold the mothers, and then the first test they have to do is find their son by feel. And so they're feeling their shirtless bodies.
Shirtless sons.
Shirtless sons. They're feeling their
Really
shirtless
good looking
sons.
20 whatever.
All
year olds,
ripped.
right?
I mean,
Of
all
course.
these guys are like,
Everybody's
I'd
beautiful.
fuck all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
fuck every one of them. I would fuck almost every mom, but a few. I would fuck almost everybody.
That's
because
you know them now. You've been
Right.
with them for
Yeah.
15
You're like
episodes.
8
or
weeks.
whatever.
I'm 8 weeks in. Yeah, I'm 8 weeks in at this point. But what I'm saying is that the things get weirder. So then they have to massage the moms
where I stopped.
blindfolded. And so the moms are also topless.
Are the moms naked?
The moms are topless.
Topless?
Yep. And so they're laying on their stomachs. But you know that there's that side boob that squeezes out, and you're feeling up until their butts.
What kind of
and, like,
massages are these sons giving?
just like back
'Cause I'd be
massages.
giving, like, the weirdest,
but
most
they're
tentative
actually
massage
touching.
ever.
I would too, because I don't want to know.
Also, I
yeah.
would have left the show. The
Right.
moment I walked in and they're like, surprise, y'all are going to be, I'd be like,
I'm not actually going to do this.
Absolutely
I thought
not.
the same thing. I was like, how much are
Absolutely
these people
not.
getting paid to do this? Because a lot
could
of
there
it.
be enough? No. Like,
It's a lot to
you're
watch.
not just doing it. You're like, like,
Also, they make them like tell their deepest, darkest secrets. You didn't get this far. They make them tell their deepest, darkest secrets, and like you have to guess which one is the son and which one is the mom, and they
Oh
all
my
confess
God.
secrets. And one mom confesses that she had sex with her son's best friend, and the son has to hear
cruel.
about it on the show. The son is like devastated.
Almost Jerry Springer. Like we got rid
just
of like the
mean,
Jerry
like-
Springer show. Now we're wrapping back around towards
Yeah.
it.
to
It
me,
seems like-
you're a parent. You're supposed to be the custodian
Yeah.
of your child's actual
Happiness.
and mental health.
Yeah.
There are
doesn't
so
always work
many
that way.
people
Right.
No, in
that
real-
you can have sex with. Why would you do anything
Access.
that even might damage your
Access.
child?
Yeah,
It's mean though.
it is mean.
Sure.
It is mean.
You have
And
so many choices, and you're the adult.
But what's interesting though is that mother and son duo end up stronger than ever at the end of the show because
Well, yeah,
they
you
got
can't keep
past that
secrets,
moment.
but-
Yeah, because they got past that. So I don't know. It's a very, very interesting show. I am not quite done with it yet, but I'm definitely going to report back, and we need to do some things. But it's wildly so. What my takeaway
I'd say
so
we could
far,
do a porn parody, but no one would monetize it.
I know, right? I know.
Because the rules for us are clearly a lot tighter
Yes.
than the rules for MILF Manor. And
Oh.
none of us would actually be related. We would just be pretending
They're
related.
really related. Yeah, I was actually
How
I
are
was
they
like
able
I was
to
like that would be a
monetize
good
that?
scene. That would be a nice scene. We could do that.
So
Yeah.
they're making money. They, the producers, the directors,
Yeah.
the talent, are making money on a fetish that we literally cannot film when it's fake.
yeah.
but they're not having sex
With each other,
One
but
of
not
the
the mother
reasons that I
sons.
thought it was super interesting is because it's kind of bled in. We had discussed Stifler's mom and like those
Yeah.
inceptional moments, but so like now it's become so okay to use the term MILF
Mm-hmm.
that we can even have reality TV shows about it, and so that was the intention of kind of pulling it in.
Well, I will say that was kind of my takeaway because I felt that it kind of showed that talking about this type of thing, talking about there not being such a weird difference between age gaps and things of that nature, but I thought they could have done it in a more tasteful manner and gotten the message across without it being as cringy.
Well,
as
yeah,
it
they
was.
could have had a bunch of young, attractive men and a bunch of older,
right
attractive
who
women
weren't all
that weren't related.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I
agree with
mean?
that.
Why would the that's
To
the
throw
part,
their
that's
own
where
sons
it's
in
not
there.
the age gap I'm
Yeah.
having the issue with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's doing everything in front of your child, and yeah, I see it. It's a very it's a watch.
You're like, I see it.
It's a watch. You got to watch it. I'm just saying. All right.
You're welcome, Lifetime. No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know what actually. I don't know.
I don't know
It's
either.
on pretty much everything, but you have to buy it. So
But
it's
who
it's
create-
behind a paywall everywhere you
Gotcha.
go. So even if you go to Amazon or Hulu or I got it on
Interesting. I wonder if
YouTube,
it's content related that it's behind a paywall, or
it's behind a paywall everywhere. So I'm not really sure. Yeah. I wondered if it was the content also that they almost had to put paywalls up around it, but Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah. $16 was totally worth it for me. Just saying. I've gotten a lot of material out of that show. I cannot wait. And a lot of content. I feel like I can do a lot of stuff. I don't know.
We're pitching MILF
Yeah.
Manor.
Yeah.
Now.
But in a different
the triple
way.
X parody.
Yeah, triple X
Before I
parody.
knew
Yeah.
that it was a reality TV show, when I saw it first come up in my searches and stuff like that, actually I thought it was something like that in
Yes.
that arena. And so that's why I kind of followed that thread a little bit, because, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of something like that. That's not typically the type of content I watch anyway, but like, let's see, since we're talking about it.
Though, my little brain is turning over here, and I'm like, why don't we make a reality show? But let's do the 20-year-old something strangers.
Let's do it, but with less gross.
Yeah, less gross. Yeah, but for reals, less gross.
You're welcome, people.
It's exciting. All right, we've got a new show to pitch. All right, guys. All right. This has been fantastic. I had so much fun. Cherie, I adore you more than life itself. Tell the people where they can find you.
Google me.
It will be fun.
My social media is always coming and going, but right now I have Instagram, Cherie DeVille XO, Twitter, Cherie DeVille. Those are fairly solid.
Yeah, Google is a good bet, though.
Mm-hmm.
So
Google me.
All right. Dr. Eddie, as always, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything you do. And until next time, guys, adios.